MASTS is a pooling initiative which was funded by the Scottish Government to really raise the profile of Scottish marine science. One of the things about Scotland is it has a long cultural connection with the sea, and it's had centres of excellence in marine study and research for hundreds of years. But actually, those experts were slightly scattered geographically across the different institutions in Scotland. And the Scottish Government recognised that with some funding there was an opportunity to bring that community together to help support and promote marine science, and also act as a conduit between government policy makers and the research that we need in order to manage our seas in a sustainable and healthy manner. So that meant that MASTS was quite immediately important to the development of the commercial ethos of Scottish marine science, and also quickly became important in providing advice and help to government where they needed it. This is our 6th annual science meeting, and when you get people together who have a shared vision, then actually things begin to happen. And so I could point to projects that have been developed with new partnerships. I could point to the amount of money that we've brought in. But actually, I think more important is the change in ethos, that instead of too much competition, there's much more talk now of collaboration. And by putting our Scottish experts together, it gives us the critical mass to compete and to contribute to larger, both international, European and world programs of essential marine research. MASTS is about a system, a marine system, and that incorporates the study of its chemistry, the study of its dynamics, even the study of people's interaction with the sea. So it's very wide. And one of the things we've tried to maintain is an ethos of people mixing and discussing the research among the different disciplines. So we don't put a bunch of mathematicians in a single room, and we don't put a bunch of chemists in a single room, but we try and get them to talk about their work among each other. Now, sometimes that means that you're sitting there thinking, well, actually, I don't understand much about this, but it expands your knowledge. But sometimes you think, well, actually, we do something in our field that relates to that, and perhaps we can help them. Or the corollary that sometimes you see a talk and think, oh, that's a brilliant way of doing that. Hadn't thought of that, and here's how I can apply it. And I guess one of the real successes then is when those two people from different disciplines get together and solve a problem. We have a structure where there are overarching themes to our research, which actually reflect the UK and Scottish government marine plans. But underneath that, we have a system where scientists can identify the broad areas that they wish to work on, bring a group of people together and form what we call a forum. So for instance, we have a forum on marine stressors, or we have a forum on the deep sea environments. And so that means that people who are interested in, for example, the deep sea, and again that could be a number of different disciplines, get together to discuss those issues. And one of the talks today was talking about the implications of potential mining in the deep seas and how we could look at environmental context for that and what impacts that might have. So these are questions and emerging issues that have to be thought about. The science has to be done to support decision making, and that requires a meeting of minds across disciplines and with government and on an international basis as well. We have about 7 workshops running today, but I think even with the workshops you find that the specific topic of the workshop often requires different disciplines, although it may have a core of one particular style. One of them is to do with the UK government trying to imagine what the priorities in marine research are going to be over the next 10 to 20 years. Another one is with industry, with the Society of Underwater Technology and Decom North Sea, and that's where the industry is addressing the issue, the massive issue of decommissioning in the North Sea, and that group has brought its meeting here, where it can interact with scientists. And so, for instance, we're hearing about how footage taken in order simply to assess the structure, underwater structure of oil rigs could also be used to look at the organisms that are inhabiting those structures and to begin to advance our knowledge of the ecology of these systems. And that's simply cooperation that doesn't require a great deal of funding, essentially, but is to do with the industry and the academics getting together in order to gain added value from the work that's actually sitting there and can be analysed in a different way for a different purpose. If you had asked me 6 years ago if I would come to a conference like this and see the level of excitement and interaction in marine research in Scotland, and also the fact that the European Marine Board are visiting us here to have their meeting, and we have these commercial interests as well, I would have been absolutely delighted. And so I am delighted. But I think that the challenges that are arising, not only from emergent pressures on marine system, but the political climate of Brexit, etc., make integration and agreement across all of these different partners even more important. We're entering uncertain times, and I think 6 years of developing a framework in which we can help to address these problems is going to prove invaluable. As to the next 6 to 10 years, they're going to be a big challenge, but I think that an entity like MASTS is almost essential, and I think we may have been lucky in the sense that we've formed this group which has an ethos of cooperation and responding not only to the science but the social pressures, may give us, I won't say a great advantage, but without it, things might be harder to get together to coordinate in response to some of the problems we're going to face. So I don't think we've got a particularly easy time ahead of us, but I think MASTS can be critical in helping us to address some of those problems in the best possible way. And also to put forward that science in Scotland is outreaching. We want to talk to our colleagues in Europe, we want to talk to our colleagues across the world, and that door is very much open, whatever happens in terms of the political future.